3 years ago, when we bought this old schoolhouse to turn into our home, we knew it needed a lot of work. And we've tackled some wild projects, restoring century-old doors, floors, digging through layers of historic paint, even playing detective in our local museum. But outside?
Outside was a different story, one I haven't told you yet.
In this video, I'll share the whole story over 3 years, how we took back the schoolyard, back from the invasives, from trash, and just generally from being a bit of a disaster. And when I say disaster, I mean piles of junk with honeysuckle growing through it, mosquito breeding facilities, overgrown fence rows, a satellite dish gazebo, an unlicensed skunk motel, and of course, the pièce de résistance, something I call the murder barn.
This thing is actually awesome though. I'll give you a tour later in the video, if you dare.
They say every great home renovation starts with a vision, and our naive, hopeful, wildly unprepared little booties had a vision. It was just buried under weeds and garbage and possibly some cursed objects.
It is April 2025 and this all just kind of popped up out of the ground, so gotta clean it up.
But after 3 years of digging, hauling, dead tree trimming, an all-out blitz of invasive plant warfare, and more recently engaging in a psychological battle with some grassy begging it to grow,
I hate this chore.
it's finally time to show you the transformation and the plans of where we want to go from here. So first, a little walk through our schoolyard's history and all the things we've done since we've known it. That initial round of cleanup was pretty brutal, and I don't know how we could have done it without our dads, my dad's tractor, and Shad and his crew from Holden Lawn Care. For that sprint, we got rid of the first round of invasives, some dead trees, and a ton of trash like you saw, and I definitely went to bed sore those work nights. Then the next spring, we started work on the foundation of the school. The folks from Smart Crawl came in, took out the front steps, and then put in some drainage around the building so that when the water hit our new roof and gutters, it didn't go straight to the basement. The rest of 2022 was just a bunch of work on the school itself, so we mostly made a gigantic mess in the yard. Then, going into 2023, we started getting into the good stuff, like a septic tank and septic fingers, and some water spigots throughout the yard. And seriously, find yourself a plumber who will let your toddler ride on the excavator. I know all kids like construction stuff at some point, but this experience cemented something very strong in my kids. But then the yard makeover really started when we brought in Adam's crew from Arrow Earth Services. The first thing they did was build us a driveway after taking out the old circle drive that went around the school. After we got our driveway, Adam's crew started digging the foundation of our garage.
What do you see right here, Arlo?
Hole.
Holes?
The garage was definitely the biggest thing that we worked on besides the school itself. And for our design, we wanted to be able to walk right out of the kitchen onto the roof deck. So to make that happen, Adam helped us prep and do some creative drainage. After the footers were poured for the garage, construction finally got underway in the spring. And that's when I noticed something tragic. Our very established, very beautiful peony bed had been liberally redistributed across the yard, courtesy of the septic install the previous fall. So I spent a couple afternoons playing a deeply chaotic version of botanical whack-a-mole, replanting them and hoping for the best. Spoiler alert, it's 2025 now, and the peonies are back, baby! Garage construction rolled through the summer, and I'm still working on a big time-lapse of that process. And once the structure was up, it was time to face our next great adversary of the yard, grass. And if you've ever planted grass seed, you already know it's a deeply humbling experience. And I've also got big plans for huge sections of the yard to turn into pollinator gardens that we'll be prepping this spring and summer too, which is another yard task that sounds a lot easier than it is to do properly. But more on that later. After a fall of obsessive watering and begrudging tender loving care, the grass actually grew just in time for winter. And it was during those cold months when everything was either frozen or muddy when we started dreaming up the next big schoolyard update. A playground. There is so much that needs to happen over the next couple years in the yard, and we wanted to prioritize spaces for the kids to be wild while we do boring stuff like landscaping and planting trees and planting the garden. The kids do help a ton, but they need some fun stuff. Plus, one of the best things about living in an old school is that scheming fun things for kids just feels so right for the space. So, after a ton of research, we decided to go with a playset from a company called Cedar. And while this is not sponsored, we did get a discount after I reached out to them. Their system is fully modular, so you can design exactly what you want. It's basically The Sims, but for playgrounds, so it's highly addictive. And we ended up choosing a little playhouse and fort combo from their classic line. Designing it was a really fun spot this winter, curled up with the toddlers and a laptop, asking their opinions on crow's nests and telescopes and swings and slides. And when the playset finally arrived, I was so ready. Whoa! Do you want to do it? No. And normally when we build stuff, I'm a bit of a sous chef or the helper, but I was so excited for the kids to have a space of their own that I was like, you know what? I'm going to dive into this solo. And I got really into it. Building the playset kind of felt like assembling a massive Lego set while fending off assistants who kept misplacing the pieces that you just organized.
What?
I think I got to stay off of that.
What do you think of this playhouse, Arlo?
Look at the slide.
Okay.
Where's the slide? We gotta go build it. You wanna help us build that?
You're getting down too.
For one final detail on the schoolhouse playground, I had to break out the trusty old cricket because the playground just wasn't complete without a little camp flag, right? And naturally, we had to name the playground, so we chose another important family member, Persimmon Pudding, aka Pimp Up. And that's a wrap on what is officially the newest and arguably most critical feature of the schoolhouse yard transformation, the playset. But since it landed, this thing has been very busy. We've already hosted Easter egg hunts, pop-up shops, and one very questionable restaurant where I was served multiple bowls of soup made entirely out of silver maple seeds and mulch. And the slide alone is clocking in some serious reps. And all the magical chaos, I'm really excited to watch the kids grow and watch their play evolve in this space. So, this yard, it's come a long way. And this part, it feels pretty great. And hey, always open to suggestions on what we should build next for the smallest and loudest residents of the schoolhouse.
Okay, now that I've fully shown the playground build and where we've been before, now I'm gonna give a quick tour of the yard and show what it's looking like in May 2025. The front here, the grass is looking really good. We're still getting some windows fixed, and we have to redo the bottom windows because they're leaking as well. So we're gonna wait on doing any landscaping here, but am going to start landscaping over here. The big thing is we've gotten this arch finally finished out, and thanks to Fernando and Gabby for helping us with that. Still figuring out what we're going to actually plant here in front. Visually, it's, you know, one of the more important spots, and I really want to use native shrubs and flowers so that the birds and the bees and everybody is happy in this yard. This section of yard, very blank slate, clearly. This one's a little bit daunting because I want to make like a big visual impact here and want to have some special tree, but it might be a next year thing just because we have so much other stuff to do. Here we have Miss G, the absolute champion of the yard that you might remember from my previous video, but she has helped me spread about 15 yards of mulch so far, which is a lot. So let's go back through here. Okay, back here, you can see we're gonna keep this section of the yard kind of as like a little meadow for playing games with the kids and running around. But what you can't quite see is I've actually planted about over 50 trees so far this year. I've got some red buds that I actually got from Costco of all places. I have some lilacs here, more red buds back here, and some service berries. But let's head over here and I'll show you the starts of our raised beds. Okay, this is the garden so far. This is gonna be the veggie garden and herb garden. for the summer and many summers going forward. But just have some like lemongrass and tons of tomatoes and lots of herbs that started from seed this spring. Over here, we've got some spice bush that I'm gonna go plant in the woods. But yeah, I'll go more into this in the next video. But this little thing right here actually came from the roof of the school. I think it's called a cupola. Gonna make it kind of like a sculpture piece in the raised bed garden. So I think a few people gave that suggestion in a video from last year. So if you said that, thank you so much. Over here we have our little garden shed. And this year I wanted to do something kind of temporary. So we just did the mulch until we actually figure out like our landscape designs and plans and how we're actually going to use this space. So this year it's kind of simple. We have mulch, a lot of cardboard underneath this from the boxes from the playground. TBD what we'll end up doing, but again, there's just so much to do that we need to save up to actually properly hardscape and landscape and figure out shrubs and things. So for now, it's just gonna be little mulched area. Again, from earlier, we have all of the peonies. They're getting ready to bloom. They were successfully rescued, so very happy about that. And back here, this is where we're gonna have our orchard. This right now is a peach tree, and then there are a couple of persimmon trees, but definitely gonna be adding some more over there. Over here, this is poison ivy zone. I already got poison ivy once this year. This is a disaster. We'll figure out what we're gonna do there.
Back here, I've got some different kinds of oaks planted that I got from the local soil and water folks, which I've learned that these trees really punch above their weight in being helpful for an ecosystem. So if I can protect these little babies for like 25 years, I'll have some happy critters.
We had 3 pawpaw trees here. This was the only one that survived. So I actually got 5 more pawpaw trees that are down back here, and hopefully they survive this year. I really want to have like a little pawpaw orchard and be able to make a bunch of different things out of pawpaws. So yeah, again, 25 years from now, this will be a really interesting spot. We just built our little compost area over here. Back here, gigantic disaster of bricks and things that we're sorting through and organizing. It is now time for the part of the video where I go into the murder barn. When I said that this thing was awesome at the beginning of this video, it is awesome in the way that it is handy, but it is also awesome in the horrible definition of the word. So yeah, let me show you inside here. Yeah, so in here, yeah, it's a little scary, but mostly we have the old floorboards that we saved from when we had to take out the floors. Gonna save these for some projects. And then back here, we just have the extra doors that we haven't refinished. This one was not original, so a ton of old flower pots that we found in the yard and just like a bunch of random things. But yeah, the murder barn. It's something. Eventually for the barn, we will do some work on it, but that is in the future.
So stick around for my next video. I'm really excited to share some of the big things that we've been doing on the garage roof deck. It looks a lot different than the last time I talked about it this winter. And just one final before and after to show this section of the garage/yard. What a difference a few years makes. As always, thanks for sticking around through our continued renovations, turning this old Indiana school into our home. Until next time, we'll be busy.